little video for the 20th anniversary of 911, September 11th. Um, we'll see how many people pop in live. I have some questions, many questions, just like you guys. But obviously, you guys know, I live in New Jersey, and I was surrounded that day. I was 14 years old when that took place. 14 years old, and I could remember it like yesterday. Um, Again, 14 years old. Uh, New York City, again, being Jersey in the middle, we had New York City. North of me, west of me was Shanksville, and then south was the Pentagon. Again, with having a channel, just wanted to talk a little bit about that day, and depending upon how many people pop in, I would like to hear from you guys. If you don't follow me on Twitter, guys, follow me there, because I can say more than I can here. It's at real not fiction, at real not fiction. And being a researcher for the past, I guess full time for the past 4 years now, there are still things that I am finding out about this day 20 years ago. It's not like you could go to one channel or one source or numerous sources and find all the answers. Many of the answers we most likely we will never fully have. But some of the most obvious, and I have notes here, a couple notes here. Remember the day prior. Again, I laugh because you can't make this stuff up. Exactly one day prior. Again, not a week, not a month, not a year, or years. One day prior. Good old Rumsfeld, 2.3 trillion with a T is missing. And then, besides that part, we have building 1 and 2 that got hit, and 1 and 2 building that got hit, and then number 7 that yes, it was on fire, but it went down 8 hours later at I think 5:20 Standard East Coast time. But the BBC the BBC reporter, she announced that it went down and it was still over her shoulder. I guess with this day, one of the newest things for myself is, even being red pilled. I don't like that terminology anymore. But again, I don't like titles. But for the longest time, people said holograms, and I'm like, holograms? This is just one person's conclusion. Myself, what I believe, and I could show you footage of that day. It's hard to find on this platform. It's really hard to find, if you do find any, actually. You have to go to like BitChute and Brighteon. Thank God for choices. But over the past week, a good week or so, I've been watching all the original footage of that day. And knowing what you know now, and just, again, you guys know, I guess from my prior line of work, I like to observe. And I mean, when you watch it live, some things really pop out at you. One of the things that popped out at me was from Fox News that day. A reporter was on the ground, and he interviewed a alleged person who worked for the company, Mark Wash. And directly behind him is a very tall, I'll say between 6'4" range, very tall black man in a suit. Again, I don't know his role, but I do know uh, he is the handler of Mr. Walsh. I'd love to know where Walsh is today. Uh, but again, going back to that day, yeah, so Fox News was on the ground, and Mr. Mark Walsh, he announced he was a freelancer for Fox, and he said almost as like a script, if he was reading a script, but obviously it was all it was all memorized. He said that the buildings went down due to structural failure because the buildings were too hot. This, the OK sign, okay. Recently, over the years, people said, it was the white supremacy. And a lot of times when you watch, people, I guess if you want to call them elite, they do that, I do it when I speak certain times. But one thing you guys have to know is when it's pinched, if you look at music videos, the OK sign is pinched. And I guess, again, anyone could make that hand signal. But when Mr. Walsh was speaking, he did this. And you guys could look, again, everything I say, look into. But that is a Illuminati hand signal. It's in many, many music videos. Use DuckDuckGo, and all the, people in the music industry and Pedalwood, they all do this. Sometimes they do this. But again, that really stood out because he explained. Again, he was a freelancer, but you would have thought he was an architect. And again, it was all in real time. That really stood out at me. Two people, Alex Jones and Bill Cooper, right off the bat, they predicted this. And just think about, those are two people that really stand out. Obviously, Mr. Cooper got dealt with, my opinion only, and months after, I believe it was November, that he was removed. But again, Alex Jones and William Cooper, they both announced it. CNN, the most trusted news, they had a meeting with Osama. Again, everything that you know now, allegedly they went to a cave and they interviewed this man. I have photographs of that man with Rice and many other people, Colin Powell. It's very, very interesting. Also, for building number 7, it went down around 5:20 in the afternoon, and there's footage of firefighters saying it's going to come down, but these are things that I still have not been able to find. Like, who was the main person behind that, right? Who was the main person that said this building's going to come down? Again, on the street, all the first responders said it, but where did they get their intel from? That's, again, I don't have the answer to that. Spoke about Mark Walsh, the freelancer for Fox. Also, before any of the buildings went down, all MSM spoke about Osama. This is before 1 and 2 went down in New York City, and then they popped up a picture of him. And it's funny because searching phone calls, former XYZ, you could really hear the non-scripted ones versus the scripted ones. So that's pretty interesting how they knew. Besides 6 January being the worst day in American history, 2020, where was that? 2021? That was this year. Just amazing that the news knew who it was. Crazy world we live in. But again, 20-year anniversary. I still have many questions. back to the plane part, guys. I am coming to the conclusion that the planes that they told us that made contact, not so. It's impossible. It's impossible to perform those maneuvers. Even if you're John Lear, you guys know John Lear probably. His father, created the Learjet, and he's just one person. There are many, many people out there who speak truth, pilots, and again, being the best pilot, the aircraft would disintegrate. It can't pull those amount of G's. So yeah, I came to the conclusion that they are drones. They are drones. So next question is where again, I don't know the answer, and I don't have I don't know. So where did the real planes go or land? And obviously the people on those aircraft, they had to be dealt with, obviously, right? So where did the real planes go? But back to, still speaking about the planes, for so many people that are there on the ground, again, going back to the actual footage of any of the mainstream from that day, again, 20 years ago, most people said they just heard an explosion. Now, we know how loud planes are, right? There's like one video of the first plane going in, and that was like the fire. That was allegedly, again, take everything with a grain of salt, because anyone could put on a uniform. I'm not saying it is, I'm not saying it is not, but allegedly we just have that one, footage of a plane going in. Why is all of the footage from New York at least 30 blocks away? Guys, if you're not too familiar geographically with Manhattan, it's kind of shaped like this, right? It's not north and south, it's actually shaped this way. The very, very tip of this pen, that's lower Manhattan. So all of the footage is 30 blocks northwest. Like, where's all the where was all the news or people with cameras from Jersey shooting over? Again, I find that very, very interesting as well. And all of the aircraft that went in, if you look at the actual footage, there is no real actual footage. And I could put the links below, but you could see that it was edited. It was edited. So I'm not saying that a device did not penetrate those buildings, but again, for the longest time, I was like pretty much, confused. I was never all in on the hologram part, but I just want, let me know what you guys think as well. Like I said, for the past week or so, I've been watching all the news, original news from that day. Shanksville. Again, Shanksville. Where's the plane? From all my researching, that was a fire pit. It landed out in the field. That was a fire pit. And again, where's the plane? So it's not just New York City. It's not just the Pentagon. Pentagon being the most secured building in the world, and all the video was captured, or excuse me, all the I guess back then all the video was seized, and they did release one footage frame, where you allegedly see one air quote plane, and then the boom. So in the history of the world, guys, no building ever went down from a fire or a plane. The Sears Tower was hit. I believe it was in the 60s. So the Sears Tower was hit by a military plane. You guys could, if you haven't seen that footage, there's actual footage of that. But back to the fire part, tons of buildings, there's one the closest one to my location would be Philadelphia. This fire burned all night. All night. But again, in the history from 20 years ago to current, not one building has ever collapsed due to fire. And then obviously the plane parts. Again, now we'll transition from the buildings to aircraft. In every single aircraft, doesn't matter the size, the speed, there is debris everywhere. In New York City, I have not seen this footage this week, but I have seen it before, and I'm sure it's still out there, but it's just pretty hard to find. There was a white van. Again, it sounds like Hollywood, but there was a white van that was pushing out, this is pertaining to New York City, a white van that was pushing out plane parts. And again, I have not seen it this week, but that video, that there is footage out there of that. Shanksville, again, where's the plane? And then the Pentagon. Pentagon is very one of the largest buildings in the world, right? My father, he worked there, and the part that it hit was under construction. The part that it hit was the financial part. Can't make this shit up, guys. Again, a lot of this stuff you guys probably know. But again, they always say never forget, and we will not forget. Somebody who I was in high, well, he's older than me, like probably at least 5 years older than me. He graduated from my school, and he lost his life that day. So pretty crazy. How about the helos? The helos that were circling. They show footage of the towers, but they do not show any footage of the plane or planes. Again, follow me on Twitter because I just posted a couple hours ago. Two videos pertaining to this day, and the amount, I'm looking at a couple comments now, I'll read a couple in a couple minutes. The amount of Israelis that were that got captured that day and prior were in the hundreds, guys. You guys heard of the dancing Israelis, right? And in this video, I will never say 100% because I don't know, and because I feel it was a huge op, obviously. We've all seen buildings go down, like demo team, and once in a while you'll see a building not, either half of the thing goes down or it doesn't always work. So to bring down two of the tallest buildings in the world, at one time I believe they were the two tallest buildings in the world. Some people say etc., thermite, etc. But just pretty amazing too. And if those buildings did not go down, if the buildings did go down naturally, lower Manhattan would have been flooded, all flooded out. How about the gold? No one really talks about that, and I didn't even write that down. I just thought of it now in my head. The gold that went missing. And there's actual footage of, I guess, law enforcement in the tunnel system, and they're filming. It's like state law enforcement versus the feds, right? And you have to understand, like, even where I used to work, it was the police department, and then we had Port Authority police, we had feds, we had the marshals, we had transit police, so many different agencies. So just imagine New York City. Again, the city that I worked for was a very, very small city, but it was the most dangerous city per capita. So think about the largest city, New York City, how many different agencies alone. But again, there's actual footage of I believe it was fire and PD going in. and they were met with different agents saying, turn around. But again, all of the goods were released. Even the people who were trapped, there's actual footage of this, the firefighters that were trapped. Think about this, you're at the bottom of one of the tallest buildings in the world, and it collapses. If it collapsed naturally, guys, again, besides it being flooded out, all the people would have died. But there's actual footage. So I don't know what was used, possibly dew and some other technology that the average person has no idea exists. But you can watch in real time the buildings being pretty much vaporized. In real time, as they fell out free fall speed. What, the North Tower had the cell tower on top. You could see it actual to powder. So the building was vaporized, because if it was not vaporized, it would have been, even though it was catastrophic that day, obviously. But just think about all of Lower Manhattan being flooded out. So pretty interesting. And another thing is, that day, beautiful weather, kind of like today, clear behind me, but they were spraying us today like guinea pigs. Different type of spraying though. It was like short little burst. Beautiful day 20 years ago, blue skies, off in the Atlantic Ocean, not too far off. I think within like 400 miles, there was a very large hurricane. And again, that's out of my wheelhouse. There's a couple doctors that went over this. And again, most people don't talk about the hurricane. And why did I just bring up a hurricane? Because that's out of my wheelhouse, but some people that were involved in investigating this, they mentioned that the energy of this hurricane was used. Again, out of my wheelhouse, just a data point. Very, very interesting that even the news, like, there's a hurricane right this second in the Atlantic, and if you watch any news, they're constantly speaking about it. But 20 years ago, silent. They never brought it up. And I said this before. My ex-girlfriend was a meteorologist, and this was years ago, and I really got a chance to see how the mainstream works. Again, not just in her lane, being a meteorologist. For instance, you guys saw when Fox News posted, somebody in the control room put up, RBG has passed. Remember that one? And everyone said, "Oh my God, she must have died months ago. She's gone." Blah 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 blah. I will tell you this: that they, being the mainstream, they do interviews, and they have everything in advance. So if somebody is sick, they interview people. So you're still alive, but you're sick, but you're in the hospital, and it's just a matter of days, weeks. They do all the interviews ahead of time, and a lot of people don't understand that. But that's one thing that she told me, being in that industry, which is pretty fascinating. And the reason why I brought up our Ruth is because of that. That was the most recent, and people saw that and they said, "Oh, she has to be gone." You have to understand, all 5 corporations run the world. It used to be 6, now it's 5. But that's one thing that they do well, in advance. It is beautiful, man. What else? Look at comments. First comment that I just saw was, good old Israel did it. Like I said, go to my Twitter account. Hundreds of Israelis, not just the 5 dancing ones that were captured that day by NYPD. Again, they were captured that day. There were hundreds of them, and this is something that I really didn't. I knew about the dancing ones, but I had no idea that the amount of Israelis that were captured and interrogated were in the hundreds. That's a lot of people, guys. These are people that were interrogated. These are people that that's not just being interrogated. They failed a polygraph. They failed that test. But again, nobody was charged. Nobody was charged. So again, 20 years later, I have some of the pieces to the puzzle, and I could say, nobody brings up Saudi Arabia, and a lot of people want to know why. Guys, not white hats or not Americans, but America made a deal with Saudi Arabia a while back. And this is why this isn't why nobody speaks about Saudi Arabia, not just pertaining to this day, but with, how they treat women, et cetera, because again, we made a deal with Saudi Arabia saying, you use our currency for oil and we will protect you. So that's why Saudi Arabia is never on the map, ever. How about if you go back to my Twitter, Mohammed Atta, right? One of the air quotes pilots. I posted this video 4 hours ago on my Twitter account. Vice News, they actually did an interview with a former, I know anybody former in the C, it's a 3-letter word. It ends with an A, starts with a C. But this was a white hat. He did jail time. And again, Vice News went to his house, and this was probably recorded 7 years ago. And they're at his house, and Vice News is there with all their equipment. And I posted it on my Twitter account. His own words that Mohammed Atta was killed in months after September 11th due to a drone strike. Again, Vice News covered it, and no one's really talking about Mohammed Atta. Just another data point. What's up, Bree? Yes, vaporize. And again, you could come to your own conclusion, but you could see in real time the building, and there was a foot and a half of ash. If it went down, even normal demolition, there's a pile of rubble. I'm not saying that there was not a pile of rubble 20 years ago, but the amount of rubble, and again, pretty much everything was turned into ash in real time before it hits the ground. You could see a solid structure just turn into ash. What's up, Jay? Jay in the UK. What's up, brother? Everything is scripted. They all have doubles, and I agree with that 100%. And for anyone who does not believe in doubles or clones, guys, not just 60, 70 years ago, but if you know his story and now it's her story, all the kings and queens and Hitler and even modern times, Saddam. There's an excellent if you're into this type of stuff, there's an excellent documentary, and I only saw it once, of a person who was selected to be Osama. The Iraqi, I just said it, I can't think right now. The Iraqi lookalike. This was prior to 03 we invaded. So he was a regular man, and then and he was selected, and he actually had reconstruction surgery. And this is modern times, guys. There has always been lookalikes, but now with technology being so good, just like that comment that I just saw, yes, they do have clones, etc., and lookalikes. Crazy stuff, guys. Technology, with phones, You have the sheep that stand in line every around this time. Like, it's still summer for another week. In the fall, I guess November-ish. I think that's when like Apple always drops their line prior to Christmas, and you have sheep that stand overnight, sometimes for days, to get a device. Like, this is how brainwashed people are. Technology. Someone says, I was seen by my son, but it wasn't me. That's creepy. They called them Palestinians. Mainstream media. I did see that. I did. Many deals made. And it's funny, just speaking of deals made, think of all the people in America that were, I believe Bob Mueller, or that piece of shit, he was like getting a emergency surgery done. Colin Powell was in Peru at the time. Bush was in Florida. Like, all these high level positions, they were either out of the country, they either were brand new in that position, or, again, I just find that very, very fascinating. And even though Bush, his dad, that bloodline in general is one of the most powerful bloodlines in the world. Bush's brother, he ran security for the towers. But again, knowing how powerful the Bush line is, my opinion, and many others, Cheney was one powerful bastard, and Cheney pulled a lot of strings, guys. Good old Dick. Again, I can't just say it was one single country, because I don't think it was. Just like how, forget 20 years ago, right this second, we have good versus evil, whatever you want to call it. And I think it was a group of entities, a group of countries that were evil, including our own in America, that were behind this. So again, to point fingers to one country, I can't do that, because if I pointed fingers to a foreign country, what the hell is up with my country? If two, again, William Cooper and Alex Jones, they were nobodies, right? Well, I'm not degrading them. I'm just saying that, they were journalists. And if they knew, you're telling me the most powerful country had no idea? Good old CNN. They allegedly interviewed him in a cave. Back to the five, or since we're talking about Israelis, the 5 art students that were apprehended once they returned to the Holy Land, on Israeli TV. This is their words, folks. I can't speak for the hundreds, just the 5 that were caught cheering. They said that they were sent there to document this. Again, their words, not speculation, not someone's opinion, their own words, that they were sent there to document it. Yeah, Bree, never stand in line for any of it. I mean, the average person has no idea what these devices could do. Seriously, the amount of technology in these devices, let alone if you have a new device that is 5G, the amount of data, not just, basic stuff, where you're at, listening, it can measure, just to unlock your phone, besides facial recognition and biometrics, there's crazy technology, again, specifically in the newer phones, if you do have a 5G phone. And 5G is not everywhere, at least where I'm at. In the large city, Philadelphia is fully 5G. Most of the schools are fully 5G, but it's not everywhere yet. I just wish that a lot of the fucking military guys would, like Tim Kennedy. I love Tim Kennedy. Green Beret, MMA fighter, and a good soul, a good human being. He is waking up. He just built a school for. Make a long story short, he did he worked for the History Channel, and he documented, or during the History Channel, he discovered that Hitler was never killed in World War II, and that blew his mind. And so I think it was completed in August. But yeah, Tim Kennedy, he made his own school in Texas. He's just one guy. Again, I like him. I respect him. He's a good human being, a good soul. But think of all the other people who served. I just really wish. I mean, I have friends and a few family members that still think the official narrative 20 years later. Like 20 years later. A lot of it, I guess, too, is it changed everyone's life, watching or listening live or later. Even if you were not directly impacted with the military, to come to that conclusion that that you served your country, you were going to go to whatever you wanted to be in life, but because of that event, that made you join the service, and that's a fucking hard pill to swallow, folks. Hard, especially if you're injured. Even if you're not injured, all the time away from your family, not witnessing your child be born, losing some of your best friends, that'll fuck you up. That'll really fuck you up. I have family, guys, that we talk about. This person they're very brainwashed, and once in a while we will talk about current events, and this person said, hypothetically, if something came out and alerted that the world's a stage, a lot of people wouldn't take that well. They want to know how to think about how you acted. I got pissed off when I first found out that my so-called life is a lie. Nothing is real. All the wars, real as in, people, war did happen, but the reason for war, it's all fake. The weather is fake. The food we eat is fake. The air we breathe is fake. All chemical. Like, nothing is real. Nothing is real. Any video that you watch online on this platform that has a blue Encyclopedia Britannica underneath of it, again, the moon, geoengineering, 9/11, etc., etc. Anything in blue is total opposite of what, like, this video will probably get tagged referring to 9/11. At the very bottom it'll say, September 11th was committed by Osama, blah, blah, blah. Like, anything you see in blue, and I think there's over 20 that I counted, because I did one video pertaining to just the blue boxes at the very bottom, and not one I could debunk. Yes, very cognitive distant. Yeah, 100%, 100%. And these are your average people, not including if you sign the line and fought for this great country. Again, it will really fuck you up. Again, all of us, we were all red pilled at a different time. Some of us are newer. Some of us had a different event, but you go through mixed emotions. And again, I was fucking pissed off. Sad that it's just like the movie The Matrix. Just like the movie The Matrix. Once you turn on that side, there's no turning back. At least no one that I have ever met went back. Once you're fully in, you're done. You can't go back. Because no matter what you watch, a movie, television, again, I don't own a television, radio, you just pick it up like that. Pick it up like that. And then stay well, be safe. We should 100%. Yeah, definitely get your spiritual house in order. Definitely. How does molten metal pour out of the side of the building? Yeah. How about the not just the heat, but guys, it was, you know, I think it burned. You guys could correct me with this one. It was over like for over 2 months, well over 2 months. The buildings continued to burn. A 2 month fire from jet fuel? Are we for real, Jay? Yeah, we are for real. Name one thing, if you don't agree with everything is fake. Name besides nature, love. No matter how financially off you are, I never met one person who was on their deathbed who said, "Oh, I love that, that $500,000 house or that crazy car." It was always that loved one. And I saw a lot of people die in my life, in my life, and so yeah, that's real. And again, I'm not knocking having a nice car or a house, but I'm just saying, at the end of the day, when it's your time, because we all have a ticket, we all have a one-way ticket, and of course we don't know when that time is. But again, I've never met one person who brought up the vehicle, brought up the vacations, or brought up, it was always a loved one or a person. So yeah, people, not every, overall people, all people are real, but there's many people that are asleep. Speaking about asleep, there were much, there were many more people awake, guys. You keep hearing 80 million or half the country. It's much more. It's higher than that. It's higher than that. Bree, once you know, you can't go back. 100%. I've known for quite a long time. It wasn't real until recently. I don't trust any side. And that's another thing. Love them, hate them, independent. Uh, Trump, he really woke people up. Even if you were red pilled or awake, whatever you want to call it, prior, he exposed both sides. Yeah, I grew up a conservative and I voted for Bush. And again, I was 14 years old when this 20 years ago. Uh, and having questions as a kid, asking your again, your father, your mother, specifically your father, because he served, um, you know, and you know he was brainwashed back then. He was brainwashed. So La Young says love is one-sided. I don't agree with that. Think about pets. How much your pet may love you. And I mean, I'm a huge animal person. Um, that love is pretty much mutual. I'm not married or don't have kids, so can't talk about that. But at least with pets, love is the strongest force. Even the haters love to hate. Read that one again. Love is the strongest force. Even the haters love to hate. Agree. Love of money, and that's where it gets creepy, or not creepy, but we all need money. Even if you're a homesteader, you need money. We all need a roof over our head. Um, Guys, I mean, I'm nobody special, obviously, but I am I served my country, and I am injured. I do not receive a pension, so there were certain jobs that, yeah, I could probably find right now, but I will never sell my soul for money. Never. Not not even saying maybe. There are jobs right now that I can take, and that, but I will not, because I have morals. But yeah, back to that comment. You can definitely sell your soul for money, and money. Not everybody, obviously, and I hate saying that. because nothing is everybody. Or if you say I like Trump, you have to defend yourself and say not everything he says. I don't agree with one person, let alone my parents, my siblings, on every single topic. All right, guys, I'll let you go. Nice chat. Appreciate you guys. Again, 20 years ago, I remember that the weather, football was canceled, all air, just looking up and not seeing a plane was for days. It was, I think it lasted what, 2 days? That was pretty eerie not seeing. And then once in a while, again, I'm here in Jersey, we would have like an F-16 fly by, and everyone's like, crazy time. I don't like to end it with bad things. The positive side to 20 years ago, how it brought everyone together. It was the most patriotic. Again, I was like a freshman. I think I just started a month into my freshman year of high school. To where we are now, black versus white, this group versus that group, gay versus straight, LGBTQR versus bi, whatever. There's verse 20 years ago where everywhere you looked was an American flag. I do have to say this, with everything you see and watch on anywhere, prior to 9/11, right this second, current events, this is the most. Even back in 2016, I didn't see this many flags. And guys, I'm in a very blue state. I am in a blue area. This is not probably. This is the second time in my life that the mount, like on my street, my entire block, they have American flags out, and this is just my block. So everything you hear and see, just think that there's a agenda behind it, and they don't want to give you the good news. There are many, many more of us than the guy who was selected. He was selected in his 20s. There's a video of him speaking his own words. Somebody asked him if he would run, and he said, again, I'm paraphrasing, but you guys could find the video. When he was he was the youngest person ever selected. I believe AOC is now, but at that time it was this guy. Yeah, I'm not saying it's going to be easy. I'm not saying it's going to be easy at all. And I still think we're living in the appetizer era. I think a large-scale event will take place. But again, the positive side is I see it on a daily basis, guys. Even people who voted for that reptilian, that evil soul, I know people that have regret for voting for him. So obviously, stay in the fight. I'm not a Bible thumper, but I am a spiritual person. So just get your cards in order and be ready for, as we have been fighting. But as we enter, many things are going on. We'll save that for a different video. Financially, 1 October is a huge day. That's when, just be on the lookout for 1 October. All right, guys, appreciate the chat. Love you guys. Be safe out there and keep fighting.